Hey, before we dive into the UI exercises, I wanted to address three things: why Figma, how to get Figma, and some basic computer setup and housekeeping. Alright, so why Figma? Well, according to the UX Tools Design 2022 Design Tools Survey, which is the latest edition, I don't believe they have a 2023 edition. Basically, if you go to UI design here, and I'll include the link to the survey in the video, but Figma is the most popular tool from a UI design perspective by a long shot. Second place is Adobe XD, but you should also be aware that Adobe has basically shelled out $20 billion to acquire Figma. Obviously, this transaction is still being investigated from various legal judicial systems to make sure that it doesn't violate antitrust, anti-competitiveness laws. But assuming that goes through, and I think recently Adobe also removed XD from its catalog of products. But assuming that goes through, Figma will still pretty much be the name of the game and continue to dominate. And why is that? Well, before 2020, I was using Sketch, which you'll see here is in third place. But during 2020, the design team I was working on, which was at a startup called Quill, we all decided to migrate from Sketch to Figma for three reasons. The first reason is that Figma is multiplayer and collaborative by default. If you go to Figma's website, you'll notice right out the gate, multiple people can be in the same file, can push the pixels together, can leave comments together. That was a huge draw for us. Number two, it's in the browser by default. So even though you don't have to download anything onto your desktop, you can just open a Figma file with a Figma URL link, and you'll be able to kind of see a work in progress design. So those were the two main reasons. The last reason is it's really fast, and it's kind of like Google Docs but for design, and we'll get to see that in a minute. So how do we get Figma? Well, first you would go to figma.com, and if you type in /education, you'll get brought to this page, and click this Get Verified button, and then you'll be able to kind of fill out a short survey. I already did this for myself, which is why you're seeing a success screen, but if you're doing this the first time, it'll ask you to look for the institution, the university, or I think bootcamp that you're a part of, and you just fill that out and you will sort of apply and get verified. And once you do, you should be able to get Figma for free, and you should have access to a workspace in Figma, and you should be able to create an unlimited number of files. So without applying for an education license, you won't be able to make unlimited number of files. So I highly encourage you to go to this website and click Get Verified, search for USF, Design Bootcamp, and without that, you would only be able to create a limited number of files. The second thing that I highly encourage you to do is go to Figma's website, click Downloads, and then download the desktop app. So whether you're on Mac or Windows, I highly recommend you download the desktop app, and then that way it'll appear as a separate icon on your dock, and then it'll be easier for you to kind of hop between screens. All right, so that's how you get Figma, and that's why you should get Figma. The last bit is just a bit of housekeeping / computer setup recommendations. Again, these are just recommendations, but I strongly encourage you to, number one, invest in an ergonomic mouse. I personally use this mouse. It's a Logitech MX Master. I believe it's a Series 3. It is $60, but think about how often you'll use the mouse, basically every day. So the cost per use will be low over the course of a year. If you divide this number by 360, it'll be, only a few few cents after a year. The other thing is I would highly encourage you to invest in a monitor. So this is the monitor I have. I have a MacBook Pro as well. So between my MacBook Pro and my monitor, I have two screens. I highly encourage, if you're going to be working in digital product design, to invest in a monitor like this. And yeah, maybe do a bit of research to figure out which monitors are compatible with your laptop. But I highly encourage you to get a separate monitor so that you can have Figma up on your large monitor, because it will help your eyes and boost your productivity. The last thing is I highly encourage you to get a keyboard. So because I have an Apple MacBook, I also endorse sort of a separate keyboard, and it does help because having a separate keyboard, the keyboard itself is pretty durable and you'll need to use the keys a lot. Some people are really into mechanical keyboards. I haven't dabbled in that yet, but basically these are buttons that you'll be pressing day in and day out. So again, sort of the investment is worth it over the course of several months and years. So that is a plug there. But in any case, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next video where we will finally dive into Figma and UI exercises. Thanks.